Welcome to the Limitless podcast. I have my friend here, Omir Block. Omir,
Yes,
what's
sir.
up, man?
Doing wonderful, man. Blessed to be here. We're in Tampa. It's a beautiful day.
Yeah. So Omir runs Remote Latinos. Originally Fava. What happened to the Fava name, bro?
It wasn't a serious name.
It wasn't appropriate?
It wasn't
What?
appropriate. It wasn't
Yeah.
a serious name. And I feel like Remote Latinos,
Yeah.
is a good name. We also own RemoteAsians.com, RemoteAfricans.com.
Okay.
So we're trying to not to be too racist, but also trying to just take over the world.
Yeah,
So
it's funny you say that because when I saw that you guys changed it to Remote Latinos, I wondered, like, are you alienating like certain companies or a group? Like, because okay, so for me, the first overseas virtual assistants, however you want to categorize them, that I ever hired was the Philippines, right? So like my brain, and I know a lot of agency owners, they associate overseas talent with the Philippines.
Right.
So do you feel like when you went Remote Latinos route, people are going to be like, oh, I'm looking for Filipinos, this isn't going to work for me?
So it's actually the opposite in terms of the clients normally don't care where they hire from. Like
Yeah.
it's you care about talent, not the location.
100%.
We were alienating people to apply. So what we did is Fava became actually Remote Fam.
Yeah.
So remotefam.com. So if you're like, hey, if I'm Egyptian, where do I apply? And then Remote Latinos is still Latino talent. But our angle, because of the time zone, because of cultural similarities, and the fact that 20% of Americans are Spanish or Spanish speakers, it makes so much sense to hire in this time zone,
Yeah.
Where if you're in Australia, it makes sense to hire Filipinos because it's the same time zone and they're very used to Filipinos.
Yeah.
But, we were just at this event and there's 5 other VA companies, and all 5 of them are going after the Philippines. So the Philippines is still a very, very much hardcore territory where people hire.
Sure.
And Latin America is a blue ocean. So we're like, man, there's way more people in Latin America, way more. I mean, we're talking about almost 1 billion people. Number one. Number two, culture, time zone, the things I just talked about, and the skill and experience. I mean, if it's as good, if not better. That's what we've noticed.
Yeah.
The biggest difference, in a sense, is the cost. So you're talking about a $100 to $300 a month difference.
Yeah.
I don't think it's so much, but
Yeah.
yeah.
So to be clear, you and your partner Esteban run Remote Latinos, but you have Remote Fam. You have all different divisions where you can recruit anyone from anywhere.
Yeah.
You are a is this term okay? Virtual assistant? Like, do you still use that, or do you just say overseas talent? Like, what do you say?
Great. So we say remote workers.
Okay, remote workers.
But on our videos and for SEO purposes, VA works better because it's more
All right,
known.
so VAs,
Yeah.
remote workers,
Yeah.
you find them, you make sure they're qualified, you figure out what their talents are, where they would fit in a good role, and then you hook up with companies that are marketing agencies, SaaS companies, e-commerce, online business. What about like local companies? Like, can you, like if a local chiropractor wants to hire an overseas,
Absolutely.
anybody, right?
yeah.
So any of those companies, you will find the talent, which takes a lot of work. I know that, right? You will find them, you will interview them on their behalf, you will figure out what their skill set is, you will extract all that information, you will package it up nice and pretty and deliver it to those companies, and then they can kind of go through, I like this person, and then they interview them. If they decide to hire someone, they hire them, and then if for some crazy reason it doesn't work out, you even replace them. Am I
Correct.
right?
Everything's right. Yep.
Everything. Okay.
Yeah.
How much? I mean, that's a lot of work, right?
Yes.
How much time and energy? I mean, I know the answer to this, but I want to hear it from you. How much time and energy do you save businesses doing all that for them rather than them figuring it out themselves?
I mean, depending on your level, it could be months.
Yeah.
Like literally, some people literally struggle finding talent on a regular basis where they're slowing down their business to find one role that takes them sometimes 1 to 2 months to do. And it's actually interesting, man. Like this time a year ago, we were at the same event that we just came to. And our biggest, one of our biggest constraints was time of placement. So it took us between 3 to 6 weeks to place someone. Where now, a year later, we're placing people within 1 to 2 weeks because we have a pool of 50,000 people that we've pre-qualified. We built a really good brand. A lot of people have heard about us, and ultimately, we're noticing this because when people come to us, majority of the time they've tried to hire. They've gone through the process, and the problem is this: not only do you waste all this time because when you're going out on online jobs at PH, Upwork, number one, you're the CEO. You should not be doing this. And number two, the talent that you find might not even be good. So now you spend all this time, and then you're hoping and praying that I'm going to find the right person. Yeah. So it's not just about the time that you spend on finding them. It's that you're ultimately hoping and praying this person works out. Yeah. And that is right there what we really focus on. We want to find you an A player that can make a difference from day one. And you've hired enough people, I've hired enough people, Gill, that you know an A player from the beginning.
Yeah.
Like an A player will be in your face and they'll tell you, I'm a fucking A player.
Or you know the lack thereof. If they're not an A player, you know immediately.
Immediately.
Like,
and this is something I learned from Eddie, our good friend Eddie Malouf, shout out Eddie, is in the beginning you want to build a team of A players, yes. But then it gets to a point where you're probably like 30, 40, 50 people. Not everyone's going to be an A player, right? And then that's where you get to the B players. What you don't want to hire ever is a C player. And I think a lot of CEOs don't know the difference between a C player and a B player and an A player and a B player. And they're just hiring and they're hoping. And the thing is, a true A player is only going to take the right opportunity. Like if I'm really good at my job and a salesperson, client success, whatever, I'm not going to go to a company that doesn't have their shit together. That doesn't make any sense. So like A players, and then going back to your question, it's just between 1 or 2 months is how much we're going to save them.
Okay, why did you go into this business? Because obviously I knew you around the time you started or prior to that, but why did you choose this route?
Yeah, I mean,
was it just an obvious opportunity? Like, hey, people need overseas talent, I could help them? Or was there something that drove you to it?
You're going to laugh. You actually probably don't know this because we first linked up around 2020 or 21, right? So a few years ago, I was selling the coaching program that you joined. I didn't sell him. Probably could have, but didn't.
It wasn't you? I thought it was you.
No, I don't think it was me. No. I think I ended up.
Yeah, we had a lot of conversations.
We had a lot of conversations.
Yeah, but you know what? It actually wasn't. It was
Temple.
No, it was like Tyler Fetty or something.
Fetty, yeah.
Remember him?
Yeah.
I don't know what happened to him, but
yeah. So I was in the agency space, and then I went to the coaching route, and then I noticed that in the program that I was selling, that a lot of agency owners, they're getting everything they need in that program, right? You're getting, here's the systems, here's sales, here's funnels, here's everything you need to build, but they consistently were struggling with two things, with hiring people, specifically appointment setters or closers. So the founder of the company, Joel, I told him, I'm like, dude, look, I'm good at sales. I know how to train it, and I'll figure out how to find them. Let me create a way to find American closers and sell it to these people and sell it to your clients, and we'll obviously do some sort of split. I don't know what that looks like. And he's like, no, you just join the coaching program. It's really high ticket. Don't do this. And I was like, all right, I'm telling you. I told him this is 2020. I remember this vividly. Someone's going to come into the space. They're going to find closers. They're going to train them, and they're going to place them for a lot of money. Yeah. I remember this vividly. A month later, I got an opportunity where my first ever client, he told me, look, I'll join the program if you find me a VA. His name is Eric Fosnot. And I was like, okay, well, let me see if I can, figure this out. And I got connected to a list of Ecuadorian people. And I was like, yo, Eric, here's your VA, join the program. And that VA is still with him 5 years later, almost 5 years later, over 4.5 years. And then I realized, and then he started spreading the word. He's like, yo, dude, this guy helped me out. Like Joel's program offers this. And at the time, we were talking about this earlier, Ravi Abuvala was also doing this, and JR were also doing this. And their angle over Joel was, hey, we'll find you a trained VA from the beginning, and we'll give you a coaching program. Yeah. But we were not even offering that. And I was like, I feel like it's not that hard to find these people. I was obviously oblivious. It is pretty hard. And man, it was just like, it was literally a blue ocean. I was like, all these agency owners, they're joining amazing coaching programs. Like, thankfully, our program was pretty good. Ravi's pretty good. JR, they know what they're doing because they've done it themselves. None of them have a recruiting business, because you'll find very quickly the recruiting and coaching, two separate worlds, right? Which is what now you're doing with what you're building, is like every section of the company is a business. Like you can have operations as a business, recruiting as a business, sales as a business. So I noticed all these people struggling consistently with finding talent. They're going upward. They're paying people. They don't even know how to pay people. They don't know how to set it up. They have no leadership skills. So I was like, all right, if I find you someone good.
It's also just overwhelming too. I mean, you go on online jobs or any of those, and you put a job post, you get 100 applications, and 80% of them are unqualified. And so it's your job or your team's job to sift through those and find the ones that are actually qualified.
And in 2020, 21, we were just placing people. And around 22 and 23, we made the shift. Like, we want to find you A players. Like, I want you to come in, and especially if you're doing 10, 20, 30K a month, you need to hire good people from the start, because then it's gonna drag you on. I mean, there's nothing worse than making the wrong hire in terms of your time, money, and then energy you spend. It's draining. Yeah. So that's when we made the shift to like, hey, let's go after A players. Let's help agency owners. And really, it's been growing ever since. We've helped 300-400 agencies at this point.
I know this is a regular question that agency owners have, or just online business owners. What positions do you feel cannot or can you can recruit overseas? Is there any position where you're like, you better stay in the U.S. for that?
From my experience, I would say executive positions. C-suite. Yeah. Like, I even think operations manager, my operations manager is offshore. I think closers, sales managers.
What about client success?
Client success, 100%.
100%.
Yeah. 100%.
Where are you finding the best client success people?
So for us right now in Colombia.
Yeah.
And our closers as well.
Why Colombia? Why are the best people there?
I think in the last several years,
specific role.
Yeah, the last several years, Colombia became very infatuated with American culture. You know, I live in Medellin. We have thousands of entrepreneurs in Medellin. Yeah. So I think Colombians are just becoming a lot more immersed in American culture. So they understand how to talk to American people a lot more. And talking to an American business owner versus talking to an American customer, it's the same thing. It's the same language. Yeah. They want you to be able to speak perfect English. I don't care if you have an accent. And also, you're in Tampa. There's a lot of Latinos here, a lot of Mexicans, Cubans. Yeah. So it's not, you don't even think about that, right? So where like the Filipinos, what we've noticed, you can also hire really good people and all sorts of talent, but the executive position roles, specifically like admin tasks, maybe a data analyst, someone that does very repetitive work and they're not so client facing, makes sense. Yeah. And that's what we've come to find. And I think people are starting to make that shift now towards this territory.
Yeah. What is Colombia Eastern time?
Central half the year and Eastern the other half.
Okay. All right. So time zone obviously makes a lot of sense. Obviously it's one of the bigger challenges with the Philippines, even though I know culturally, like they're accustomed to working throughout the night, but we always struggle with that. It was like even when they said they would, it was, like you'd see them offline on Slack and shit like that. And
and they have a hard time saying no. That's the biggest thing. They're the nicest people in the world. Yeah. They're amazing. They're really good humans. Yeah. You know what I mean? And they have a hard time saying no.
They'll over promise and then it's like, it's hard for them to keep up.
I've heard nightmare stories where people like fall asleep on the wheel, like go and then like God knows what happens, and they have a family to feed, and some of the people I'm sure work for me, they're the breadwinners. Yeah. So like they literally can't afford to say no. Yeah. And I just hate that pressure. And, one of my goals, I wasn't able to do it, but I want to figure out how to be able to grow and scale and have a 24-hour company where we work in every different time zone. Obviously, not everyone's working 24 hours, but we work Eastern time zone, Western time zone, and obviously Africa, and have them work their hours. Like, I'm like, man, these people are so talented, but they're sleeping when we're awake and awake when we're asleep. Like, it's crazy. Yeah. How can we figure it out to have them work regular hours? The only way you could do that is by having international clients. Yeah. And that was one of my goals. Obviously, with agency space, it's a little harder because majority of clients are here US based. But man, the time zone is it's overlooked. Yeah. Because they've done it for so long.
What business model are most of your clients?
Right now, it's three sections. It's agency owners, real estate investors, wholesalers, and contractors.
And is it evenly split, like about 30-30-30?
No, I would say it's like 80% are agency owners and real estate investors, and about 10% are contractors.
Yeah, I don't think a lot of people or whatever out there realize how many agencies there are. There's a lot of agencies.
Thousands.
Yeah, thousands. Like
easily.
I didn't realize that until I kind of expanded beyond my bubble that I was in when I started. Yeah. Like my bubble was the network that I was in, but then I started joining other groups and just kind of networking myself, and I was like, there's a lot of agencies. And a lot of them are different though. Not all of them. I mean, I believe the model that we had, that a lot of, where your niche, your niche, that's it, man. One niche, one product, one offer, scale it to the moon, right? Like that, it works really well. I mean, how many people did we see come in and shoot to 100,000 in monthly revenue pretty quickly? Like, sure, they might have had skills and other things, but like that was a fairly common thing, right? It would happen,
A lot of people.
There are competent business owners that I come across that have agencies that can't break 30 grand a month, and it's not them, it's their business model. And I'm coming across this a lot, right? And this gives me a lot of opportunity to help people. They structure their agency to where it's like, I'll work with anybody, right? But not just that. So it's like, I'll work with, are you a real estate investor? Are you a chiropractor? Are you a HVAC guy? Whatever, do you have a big company? Whatever, right? I'll work with all of them. And it's on this project basis. So what they do is, they sit down and they say, what are your problems with marketing, with online marketing, right? Do you need paid? Do you need PPC? Do you need SEO? Whatever. Do you need organic? And they put together this custom proposal, right? And a lot of times, like some of these guys are charging like one client $80,000 for the year. So in their mind, they're thinking they capture a lot. But here's a problem with that business model. It's very hard to scale, right? Because every client they work with, it's completely custom. So they have to build, like, I'm building like a funnel for one. I'm building paid ads for another. I'm building,
cold email
for another. I'm doing organic. I'm doing brand videos for another. And you're also doing it in all different business verticals. So all different business models. So every client you take on is a custom project, right? And it becomes hard to scale, hard to fulfill on, and it's also hard to articulate your value proposition because you're no longer a specialist. Like, I was a specialist. Like, we could generate leads for chiropractors very quickly and very well. And I could get on a sales call with a chiropractor who never met us, had no warming up to our business. And I could say, here's what we do. We're really good at it. Here's the result you're going to get, and here's how much it costs. Very clear, right? It makes it easier to make a buying decision for the prospect. But these guys, they got to have 8 conversations. They got to send a proposal back and forth. They got to let them analyze the proposal. It's a big, $20, $30, $40, $50, $80,000 proposal. And then when they get it, now they got to fulfill on all those different things. So their team is running around with their head cut off. So my point in sharing that is just like, there's a lot of those agencies out there, and they don't realize that, like, they actually frown upon the model that I had because they're like, oh, you're a cookie cutter. You only do paid ads. You can't really, do anything else. Like, you're a one-trick pony marketing agency. I'm like, no, we're a specialist. We're really good at one thing. We can articulate what we do really well, and we could do it over and over and over and sign 70 clients in 1 month. You could never do that, So yeah, just interesting.
Yeah. Have you noticed, like, when you started saying no to things? Because I'm sure people are like, can you build my website? Can you start running? I mean, you were talking about you did even pay per lead is a different model. It's almost a different business. Yeah. But you start saying no, and then you start getting more clients. It's interesting. It's an interesting way, right? Because you specialize, and then going back to what you were saying as well, like 80K from one client, then 20K from another, and then 40K from another, and then each of them have different needs and wants. But the one that pays you more, so you're gonna spend more time with them. What about these other guys?
You start prioritizing your clients differently. Correct. That's that you bring up a good point there. Saying no. What's an example in your business of things you had to say no to? Man, that helped you.
And it's been tough because for us, it's
because I know you. You're a nice guy. You like to say yes too. Yes. You have a little bit of Filipino culture in you.
I know. My conversion is to become kind instead of nice. It's a very important thing.
Yes.
I still want to be a good dude, but whatever. The biggest thing is we try to help too many positions. And we didn't specialize in just marketing and sales, so we started working with high-level specialists. And we're like, hey, when we started getting fulfillments on them, media buyers including, but the two things that we didn't account for is the time it took us to find a person, and we charged the same. Yeah. And that's like that so was like just
you would,
sense.
like for the different positions, like a sales position and a go high level tech op person. You would
charge the same, and then one would take us a week to fulfill, and the other one took us a month to fulfill.
So what's the difference between the two?
In terms of finding the...
why is it so much harder to find a salesperson? Obviously, there's some things I want to hear from you.
Yeah, well, actually, the Go High specialists, it's a little bit harder to find because there's not as many of them, believe it or not. Where salespeople, there's a lot of salespeople, a lot of people that could become salespeople. But high-level specialists, like if you might be a tech specialist and system and understand things, but if you've never used high-level, you're limited on your high-level, and of course, you can learn it. Where salesperson, like if you've sold trees and you sold solar and you sold houses, sales, like you understand sales, you understand the psychology, especially if you're good at it. So for us to know is let's focus on just a few roles. Like we don't only do salespeople, but we do appointment setters, and we'll do cold callers, and we'll do video editors. We'll do the ones that we have the most amount of success and takes us the least amount of time to find. Where media buyers and go high level specialists takes a little bit longer, and eventually I do want to get back into it. And that's the hardest thing, man. I went to a recruiting event last month, also in Tampa, funny enough, and we connected with the guy. His name is Mark Whitby. He's a recruitment coach. And he, every single person at this event was a traditional recruiter, but they only hire people in North America. But what's interesting is these were really different industries. Again, I was oblivious to industry businesses, I think, until what you told me about. But these guys were recruiting like farmers for agriculture businesses. They were recruiting like painters and contractors and all this stuff. And they only recruit 1 or 2 positions. And they were making way more money than us. And I'm like, why are we trying to do everything? And we're at a lower level than these people. And I feel like we have as better marketing, better sales. You look them up, they don't even have websites. I'm like, what's going on? And it's because they specialized. And it's so hard to say no. Because I want to help everyone. But you know this, when you try to help everyone, you end up helping no one.
Yeah, no one. Yeah, and you drive yourself crazy. And there's also one other piece to that. Two things. The first thing is I'm curious how because it might be okay, there's more easier to find closers, but that's a higher value position to a company, right? It's like if I hire a go high level person and they don't work out, it sucks, but I'm not going to be as concerned to replace that person. Where if I hire 2 salespeople and I lose both of them, like I'm in a tough position, right? That sucks. I always hated losing my salespeople, so shelve that. The other piece, I've done due diligence for 50 businesses. I shared that with you, and it's crazy to see the different operations inside a business and the different mindsets. And there is a level of ignorance that comes with some business owners in the United States that benefits them. And I'll explain. These guys that are doing these custom projects, like they are not concerned at all. They don't have any precedent set to send an $80,000 or $120,000 proposal. Therefore, because they're asking for that over and over, they knock some down every now and then, right? Like it might not, their closing rate might not be 70%, but like they close those deals, right? It happens. And a lot of times what happens is they have early ignorance. So they have early ignorance where they don't know, but they know it's going to be a big project. They throw this big price at a bunch of people. A bunch of them say no, but somebody says yes. And now when that one person says yes, they have proof that there are people out there that will pay this much, right? And this is why I also love businesses that start with a higher ticket, right? Because you can always add in lower ticket and you can always get creative with how you scale that out. And you could build info products and all these different things. But when you start at that level, and again, this is the challenge when you niche down like agencies, a lot of us believe we're only worth $1,500 a month or $2,500 a month or $3,000 a month, when there's other agencies that are far less of a specialist that are charging $10,000 a month or $80,000 for one project, right? And they're ignorant to the fact that they're collecting this much money. Therefore, they just go, oh, this is how we do it. We always done it. It works like this and it's fine, right? So where I see an opportunity is to take the agency owners that have a similar business model to me and to help them break their limiting belief around what their pricing should be. I even shared this with you. Like you guys have a very good company and you deliver a valuable service. I think you undercharge. I think you guys could charge way more than you charge, right? And there's a lot of agencies like that. And then the ones that do custom work and they're charging these $80,000 custom projects, like fine, keep doing the custom project, but let's build a revenue stream in your business that is niche down, that is focused on scaling one product, right? And just have so if you're a marketing company that does all this custom projects, like pick a trade, pick a niche, pick a whatever, and build out a repeatable product and system where you generate leads, where you run meta ads, you do AI automation. And now you have this, you can go sign 30 of those clients and you can knock down the one $80,000 client once a month or something like that. So there's a lot of benefits on both sides for them to learn from each other and improve,
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And it's interesting because the agency space has been going on for a long time.
Yeah.
And I feel like there's 2 sets of businesses. It's the pre-COVID, post-COVID.
Yeah.
Right. Because if you were before COVID, you were in the early times, Facebook, generating Facebook leads was not that expensive.
Yeah, less competitive.
Correct. And then after COVID, it's everybody went remote and it's everybody's trying to start an agency and you're competing with 16-year-olds that are taking calls in the bathroom. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's an interesting because you're gonna have some challenges with some of these agency owners where it is limiting beliefs, because I even have that, and I believe that we have a great service, but sometimes I'm are we charging too much? It's like a weird place to be in, because you never want to be the most expensive and you never want to be the least expensive.
I disagree.
Interesting.
I disagree.
Tell me.
I would rather, because there's no distinction. So if you're floating in the middle, okay, you just said it yourself, right? There's a 16-year-old kid in the bathroom taking a sales call, right? Now, and everything you said about COVID is so true, man. But one piece you left out is that 16-year-old got very good at understanding Facebook ads and offer creation. And, I credit Alex Hermosi with this. When Alex released all his $100 million series, the 16-year-old, right? I'm just using that as an avatar, an example. It's not always. Some 16-year-olds are really good at business, but let's use that as an example. That 16-year-old now understood how to create an offer, how to generate leads, how to make a big guarantee and a big promise, how to set contingencies to back it up, and how to run an ad that looks great on paper. So me as the prospect or consumer, I see a guy like Gill, who's older, been in business a while, running an ad, and I see a 16-year-old running an ad. And they even get, UGC or whatever it's called, creators to run the ads, but some of them do them themselves. Me as a prospect, I can't distinguish who's different, right? I see both of them are running great ads. Both are helping chiropractors. Both are making big offers and guarantees. Both are saying, I've worked with this many 100 clients and showing me their testimonials and case studies. So it's hard, right, for them to distinguish that. And if you're priced the exact same, they get on a sales call. Now it's a toss up who they're going to work with. Whoever maybe, sold more value in the call, or whoever they liked better, or whoever, something happened in the sales call, right? I believe that if you're going to charge, if you're going to flow, either be the cheapest or be the expensive, be the most expensive, because if you're in the middle, it's just, again, it's what we just said, right? But if you're the most expensive, buyer psychology goes, why, right? Why are you the most expensive, right? And they have to answer those questions. Now, 50% of them might be they're just trying to get money from me and they're not that good. I'm going the other way, right? Or they might price shop you. But there's a lot of other people, prospects, buyers that go, there has to be something else here, right? And even if they don't immediately have the answer, they inquire about it and they ask more questions and they dig deeper, right? So they're trying to justify in their own mind why you are worth the price that you're worth. They don't understand it, right? And they're giving you the opportunity to explain it to them. Where if you just said the same price as everybody else, they're kind of just whatever, right? And then on the flip side of that, and if I was going to be one of any of these, I would always be the most expensive in the market. And by the way, this is what Gym Launch did. They were always the most expensive. Gym Launch didn't do anything different than many other agencies out there. And this is not a knock on Gym Launch, but a lot of people would be, Alex is a great marketer and great salesperson. They have that advantage, obviously.
Sure.
But even me as a gym owner, I signed with Gym Launch. And I was there has to be something more to this company. They have to be capable of more than this guy who just offered me the same thing for $499 a month, right? But if you don't have the ability to articulate a clear value or competitive advantage, I should say, and you're just going to go apples for apples, and then of course, if you're the least expensive, you're going to by default close more deals. So yeah. I'd rather go on one end, either end of those spectrums.
Yeah, it's an interesting.
Not saying I'm always right. You might disagree, but
no, it's interesting because I've tested this and I like being to have the competitive advantage when our marketing is not. Or we're not as known. So for instance, our competitor charges a little bit more. We're probably a few thousand, maybe a few $100 from them, from what they charge. But they are using influencers. They've been around longer. They have a great name, great brand. So in my head, I'm it's going to be hard for us to compete with them consistently. So I'm going to be, my one advantage over them is I'm a little bit cheaper. Yeah. We offer everything the same, but I'm a little bit cheaper. We're testing this out right now.
So from a question for you. So from an actual deliverables, what do they do better than you? What do they do differently?
I don't know because I've never used them.
Because every example you just gave me was marketing.
Yeah.
They market better than you, right? They've gotten connected with some influencers.
Yeah,
this and that. But from an actual value of what their product is, do you believe there's anything more valuable they do?
No,
right?
Not at all.
So their actual product, their fulfillment, their deliverables, right? What they're giving their people are not any better than you.
Yeah.
They're just, and I say this all the time, they're just out marketing you. And that's what Gym Launch did. Gym Launch charged more, but they weren't necessarily better on the result they got.
Yeah.
They just out-marketed a lot of companies, right?
That's it.
Yeah.
That was it. So that's something that we're learning now. It's we built a brand and we're going hard on organic, and obviously there's a whole strategy there. But it's interesting because ultimately in the space, you're a marketing agency. So if you don't know how to market well, right, you're already going to lose. And so many people don't know how to market themselves and their company, and they don't know how to create YouTube ads or content, but then they're trying to do that same thing for clients. I'm like, dude, how are you? You don't even know how to do this for yourself. Yeah. So I'm sure you've ran into that as well, with clients where you're a marketing agency, but you're not even good at marketing.
Yeah. The one way that I always would combat that, I would say we're not an organic marketing company. We're a paid marketing company. And I love that because 85% of our clients came from paid ads. So I was I actually would use that in my own ads. I would say we practice what we preach. We don't even run organic at the time I had my agency. And because we get all of our clients from paid ads. So that's what we're going to do for you as well. But that's a good example. Yeah. If you're selling a product that you yourself cannot execute on for your business, that is a red flag, right?
Yeah. It's almost the same thing that people are doing with organic marketing. They're I'll help you blow up your YouTube channel. I look at YouTube.
Bro, this happens to me all the time. I get DMs from people on Instagram. They're I'll help you blow up your Instagram. I go to them and I'm you got 800 followers. What are you going to teach me? You haven't done, I just focus on doing it for other people and not myself. I'm bullshit.
Why would you? That's crazy.
It doesn't make sense. So what is where's your main efforts right now in marketing for your business? Is it organic? Is that where most of your time and energy and resources go to?
A lot of it is organic, with affiliates and just Instagram, YouTube. YouTube, we just restarted like this past year.
Instagram,
like,
YouTube, organic, right?
Yeah. As well as like going to events. So events, shaking hands, and like, we want to start speaking at different conferences and whatnot. And then the last one is paid ads. That's the one we haven't cracked to the fullest extent. Which I know what paid ad requires.
Yeah.
And it's interesting, like I told you, which was in our space, not the agency space, but in the recruiting space, our competitors have no sales process. Yeah. So I hop in, what are you looking for? Okay, when are you looking to hire? Next week. All right. So here's the boom, and they pitch me the demo. I'm like, bro, they're not even like, and then you want to do this? I'm like, no. All right. That was somewhere. That was like, I don't want to put the name. I'm sitting there. I'm like, dude, they have no sales process. They have no, and I'm like, how are they making so much money?
Yeah.
So it made me realize, I'm like, okay, our in recruiting, marketing matters more than sales.
100%. Sales will make you rich. Marketing will make you wealthy. And it wasn't until after I sold because I was a good marketer in my agent. I was a good salesperson, in my agency. Yeah. We were a good sales organization. I always said that too. Like we are a sales organization, and after I sold my agency, I realized that marketing is going to what will take me to the next level. Right?
I was watching a Ravi Abdul video, and he was talking about, if your salespeople consistently struggle with selling, and they're good, they don't have to be A players, but B players, your marketing sucks.
It's your fault.
It's your figure out marketing. Like, why are you making their life harder? Yeah. Why is it? So one of the biggest takeaways we had from acquisition was from acquisition.com is we got to make our VSL way better. Right now, our VSL is from like 2022. It's like, it's good. It's gotten us far.
I got a framework for you. I'll help you out.
Yeah,
because I got a really good one.
I know for a fact. I'm like, dude, I'm good at sales, and my closer's good because I've trained him, and he's Latino himself. So I'm selling the product. When you get on a call, you're talking to a Latino person.
Do you guys have a community right now?
We have a community for candidates, not for clients.
Oh, brother.
Here's why. Because we have so many different business owners, and putting all of them together, it just kind of feels.
No, you could do it. You could do it. For sure, you could do it. You should do it.
Tell me more. If you would recommend a community, even if all my industries are not aligned, different levels, different.
Yes. Yeah. So I am still guilty of this, and this is something I'm working on. And me and you, before we hit record on the cameras, we're talking about it. But we believe that, let me speak about myself. I believed that I have specific skills that can only help marketing agency owners because that's what I just did. I built a successful marketing agency. Like, I have no doubt in my mind that I could take somebody that is either plateaued or at zero, and I can make them a lot of money, millions of dollars, right? If they work with me and they actually do what I say. I don't have that same confidence that I can do this for any business, right? Because I don't have proof that I've done it for a hormone replacement clinic or a med spa or whatever, I guess a med spa would apply to like chiropractor, but the process and the systems are very similar, right? So like everything that you need in any business model is very similar, right? Like you need marketing, we just said it. You need sales, you need an actual sales process. You need to understand sales psychology. You need to understand how to articulate a value proposition. In today's day and age, you need to know how to nurture. You should probably start learning AI. Those things are universal to all business. I would argue that what you do is the same thing. Recruiting overseas and everything that you just explained to me that you do, you find people, you qualify them, you go through the interview process, you weed out the bad candidates, you place them in front of people and save that your agency owners all this time and energy. And then if it doesn't work out, you replace them like completely risk-free, right? What changes from an agency owner to a guy that owns storage units? Like, what changes? I know the business model changes, but if the guy who owns storage units has back-end nurture sequences he needs built in GHL, what changes, right? So like, if you get a group of people in a community, right, where you are putting valuable modules out, you're putting valuable content out, you're controlling the community and the communication with them, right? You're doing live Q&As, maybe monthly for free, where you answer questions. You're going to get a lot of questions that you can answer the same way. And I don't think they'll be, because I understand where you're going with this. Like, you feel like it'll just be chaos in a sense with all these different type of business owners. I don't think it will. In fact, when I started telling chiropractors how I hired for my agency, clients of mine, they started asking, how can I do this? And I was like, oh, you just like hit up Omir, or you go on this website or whatever you want to do, right? So I think you can build a community. and this applies to anything now, you know, and this is why Alex went the school route, because he understands this. You can build a community. You can invite anybody and everybody in. It's free. You give free value, free resources. You do monthly Q&As. You share all the knowledge that you have around recruiting. And then guess what happens? That's marketing. Marketing is just building trust before a sale, or building likability before the sale. Yep. So like, you bring them in there, you answer those questions, they get to know you, they get to see your face, they get to trust you, and then when they need someone, they hit you up. Your sales process becomes a lot easier. So
for sure,
I'd encourage you to do it.
Yeah, it's interesting because for remote Latinos we don't have it, but for my business partner's real estate business, he has one called REIpreneurs. We have it on school. We have probably over 1,000 people on there. We have a ton of clients that we've gone through there. But what we realize is that with community, it's almost like another job.
It is.
So it requires a lot of our efforts, and we tried to hire someone to like run it, and that didn't really work out. But now we found a few ways that we're going to get back into active of it, because one thing we don't want to have is I'd rather have a community that's already built and then enforce like Remote Latinos and my brand in there, rather than build like a brand new community. So that was something that I love that. Is this something like is this one of the angles you're having your agency clients take? So every single one of them is going to have a community.
Some community, a Facebook group, something, right? Okay. Yeah. And so the way that I simplify it for them, by the way, I'll say this real quick. If you're going to give free value, your free value has to be as good or better than your paid value, because prospects are going to determine how valuable you are and if they want to work with you based on that. So just because you give free stuff away doesn't mean it's going to help you accomplish the goal of signing more customers and more clients, right? So I think people make the mistake. They go, well, this is free. I'm giving it away. Therefore, I don't want to put a lot of effort into it. And they actually are creating a negative impact on their business. They would be better not doing it at all, because people consume their stuff. They buy it, they don't buy it, sorry, they claim it, or they join the community, and they go, this is horrible. If this is what their free stuff is like, what is their paid stuff going to be like, right? I don't want to work with them. So like, you're right. You have to put as much or more effort into your free stuff and make sure it's extremely valuable and treat it like it is your paid product. But what I tell my agencies that I own and the clients that we have, whether gym owners, chiropractors, or whatever, you should be creating a community. You should do it on school if you really want to go all out. You should have modules for whatever you're doing. If you're a chiropractor, you should have modules that help people do stretches and exercises at home to increase their health and their back health and, their spine health and all those things. But if you don't even want to take it to that level, here was a simple way that we did it in our agency to make it easy, and all agency owners should do this. Create a Facebook group, right? Every lead that you get, whether it be an organic, a referral, a paid ad lead, you immediately push those people into the Facebook group. So rather than just bomb them with emails or text messages or whatever, you push them into the Facebook group. And at minimum, you have a weekly live podcast, okay? Fridays at 1:00 or whatever you want it to be. And you stream that podcast live to the group, right? You invite high-level chiropractors, people that want to get interviewed. And here's the beauty in that. It gives the opportunity for people in that group to get to know you, to watch you in a setting like me and you have now, where we're talking like humans and we're being normal people and we're just being ourselves and sharing the knowledge and expertise that we have. And that allows people to start to know and like you. But also the added benefit that people don't realize is I would try to get in touch with chiropractors to sell them stuff, and they wouldn't respond to me. And then I would hit them up and be like, hey, can I invite you to be a guest on my podcast? And they'd be like, oh, I'd love to. That'd be great, right? So now I get them on the podcast. I interview them. I get the benefit of my group seeing me and them. And then after the podcast, after we hit record, guess what I do? I tell them a little bit about what we do. And like, hey, would you like to talk sometime? Or I don't even say it. A lot of times they'd be like, hey, I'd love to learn more. You know how many people I interviewed that ended up being clients later, right? So now like an agency has this Facebook group where they're live streaming, where people are pushed in there. They're getting notifications that you're live, and all it takes is 1 hour a week. Now, if you want to ramp it up, and you could do more. You can drop free, YouTube videos. You can do all kind of stuff in there. But that's a basic way to entry level way to start.
We've already created so much content, and actually one of the things today we're like, we need to. I'm putting a lot of effort towards the videos, scripting, and the editing, all that stuff for the team. But we're not putting as much effort into marketing. Yeah, and it's partially because we don't have a community. So we don't have a specific community for remote Latinos, but I think with Ariapreneurs, you know, I'd love to be able to. That's actually a really smart idea, like the 1 hour podcast. I already have a podcast, so like you know, why not
stream
like
it?
yeah.
We didn't even produce it and put it anywhere. Like literally, we would just live stream it to the group and those conversations, and we would save the recording. But we weren't on Apple Pod. Like the purpose of it for us wasn't to have this podcast that a bunch of chiropractors listen to. It was so that the people in the group could get to know us better, could get some value, and then eventually they'd want to work with us. So
that's very smart.
Yeah. And I mean, dude, there's a lot of people that are looking to hire and to cut back on payroll expenses, and, you know, wages in the US keep rising. I know that, you know, some people might argue, you know, don't send, you know, jobs overseas, but like, look, if I'm a business owner and I could hire someone that is as talented or more talented that can do the job for me, and geography is agnostic, and I could hire them overseas, of course I'm going to do that, right?
Every time.
And it's going to cost me less, of course.
Yeah. I mean, even with your company that you exited, I mean, you had an offshore talent, right? Like,
of course,
plenty of them.
Yeah, of course, man. We were at the time I sold. I think we were like 60% offshore or 50%, probably 50%.
What roles did you notice that were better for in US in your experience?
We always kept our client success team US based. We did have a couple in Argentina, South America. We had some, and they worked out fine. But like, we just kind of settled on, I don't know, tax law or any of these things, but like, one of our reasons was that the things that we required our client success team to do, we just felt more comfortable having them as W-2s rather than overseas contractors. I know you can't have an overseas contractor as a W-2, but like,
I mean, you could. It's just a process. Yeah.
Is it? Okay. I didn't even know that. Yeah. All right. So that was one reason, but we just felt, so our executive level, those were all US based. Our closers, most of them are US based. We did have some, we had one guy that was in Ireland, like, so those type of places, but client success, and that's kind of it, man. We had a US based call center at one point. Those were all US based employees, but our general call center that was with our service, they were all overseas.
What was the biggest difference between a U.S.-based call center and a offshore call center in your experience?
Yeah, so the way that we did it, we specifically recruited people that worked in chiropractic offices at one time. So they really had a level of competence that was hard to recreate or train. It's possible you could train people to that level, whether they're overseas or whatever, even if they haven't worked in a chiropractic office. But a lot of these people worked in chiropractic offices. They understood the lingo. They understood the internal operations. And we recruited them out of the offices and hired them to do all the calling and the follow-up and the nurture or whatever. And also for our niche, there is like, it's more than just booking an appointment, right? You're talking about people that were dealing with back pain, some of them debilitating. They had health issues. They've tried other chiropractors and hadn't gotten results. So we wanted them, like, there's a level of empathy and connection that you want to try to have in those conversations if and when possible. And we just found that they were better at that. But I will say this, the difference in execution and numbers is not what you would think it was. Like, we thought it was going to be dramatic, and therefore we priced that service accordingly. Like, we charged a lot for that. And over time, that department became very labor intensive, and the gap wasn't crazy. Right. Like in how many scheduled appointments and shows, it really wasn't. So,
interesting.
Yeah.
Cool.
So I know we're over time, brother. Yeah. I appreciate you coming on. I appreciate you, you're in Tampa coming and visiting me. Yeah. How can business owners, agency owners, how can they find you?
Yeah, so our company's called remotelatinos.com, REMOTE, latinos.com, and they can find me Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, OMER, last name Block, BLOCH. I'm all over, so hopefully we can connect, help you find a recruit, and recruit you a rockstar A player.
Hit this guy up. If you need overseas talent, hit this guy up. He's a man. Boom. Amir, appreciate it, brother.
Yes, thank you.
Hey, thanks for listening to Limitless Podcast. If this episode gave you something to think about, consider subscribing and sharing it with someone who'd appreciate it. Any questions or thoughts? Drop them in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. See you on the next one.